Imagine this: Los Angeles in the mid-1980s. Heat waves shimmer over stucco rooftops. Families lock their doors, thinking the city hums with the usual summertime rhythm. But a shadow is slipping through the night. It's someone nobody expects, and that horror is about to strike when the lights go out and everyone thinks they're safe. That shadow? Richard Ramirez, a skinny, long-haired guy from El Paso, Texas, becomes the infamous Night Stalker. By the time he's 24, his name alone rattles nerves all over California. If you were there, you'd feel it. The fear, the unease, the thought that next time it might be your street, your home, your turn. This story is about his wild, chaotic ride through the darkest corners of American crime. Growing up wasn't easy for Richard. His family moved around, always scraping by, and trouble was never far off. He got mixed up with weird influences. A cousin who showed him things nobody should see, taught him things about satanic rituals and obsession with death. Richard's childhood wasn't just rough, it was downright strange. Friends say he was quiet, but beneath that silence, anger grew, and it didn't take much to light that fuse. By the time he turned up in California in the early 1980s, the stage was set for what came next. The violence started small: burglary, some break-ins, invisible enough that it could have just been another local crook. But then, summer of 1984, a woman named Jenny Vinkow was found unalive in her home, her apartment ransacked. This wasn't just theft, this was chaos. What marked the scene? Sometimes pentagrams, symbols left behind, as if daring anyone to try and stop the man who'd just begun his spree. Ramirez liked to leave a nasty surprise for detectives, almost playing a game with them. And those attacks? They kept coming, over and over again, ramping up from burglaries to assaults to full-on violent terror. By 1985, it went from nightmare to outright hysteria. Ramirez seemed to strike randomly, choosing homes all across Los Angeles, and later, the Bay Area. No neighborhood felt safe. His method was chilling, the classic horror you wish wasn't true. He'd cut power, slip in while victims slept, overpower anyone in the way. He'd force survivors to swear on Satan, leaving people terrified not just of violence, but of this strange ritualistic edge that made him even more unpredictable. Whole families, from young girls to elderly couples, faced traumatic psychological torment that blurred the lines between nightmares and reality. And the frequency was off the charts. Some nights, Ramirez would hit more than one home, almost like he couldn't stop himself. People across Southern California braced themselves. News stories everywhere, sketch artists working round the clock, police on edge. One victim, Sakina Abawath, faced him with her young son tied up close by. She survived the ordeal, but the scars remained. Everyone started locking doors even tighter. The media whipped up a frenzy, and eventually this faceless monster was named the Night Stalker. Here's the thing. With every break-in, the chaos grew. In July, he bludgeoned 75-year-old Mary Cannon in Arcadia, followed by horror in Sierra Madre with Whitney Bennett, a 16-year-old girl beaten but miraculously survived. Ramirez seemed invincible, like nothing could slow him down. In Monterey Park, he stomped Joyce Nelson, leaving a sneaker print on her face, a grim signature. By late summer, he ramped up to using guns, knives, and even a machete. Some nights, he slaughtered multiple victims, all while demanding jewelry, cash, and those inexplicable satanic oaths. When the violence spilled over to San Francisco in August, people realized they had a statewide crisis. A single night could include shooting, sexual assault, robbery, the whole spectrum of fear. Ramirez wrote lyrics from heavy metal songs at crime scenes, tossed clues in the bay, then switched cars and houses to evade capture. Law enforcement was desperate. Finally, a teenager took note of a suspicious orange station wagon, jotted down the license plate, and handed police a breakthrough. Ramirez left fingerprints inside, thanks to new-for-the-time computerized fingerprint technology. By the end of August '85, the tension was at a breaking point. Police released Ramirez's photo, and the description, thin, long, curly hair, rotting teeth, wild eyes, was everywhere. The city was united in terror, And finally, a little hope. The reward for his capture was up to $35,000. Then comes the day everyone's been waiting for. Ramirez tries to steal a woman's car in East LA. She screams. Residents recognize him from the news and chase him down, nearly serving up their own justice before police intervene. August 31st, 1985. His reign is stopped by an angry crowd and a handful of brave citizens who finally ended the nightmare. But the story's not over. The legal aftermath is almost as wild as the hunt. Ramirez faces a circus of a trial, multiple charges, more than 67 felonies, evidence everywhere. He sits in court, dressed sharp but with a look that says he's enjoying every moment. The press can't get enough. The pentagram drawn on his palm, his "Hail Satan" outbursts, the disturbing lack of remorse. Even as he's convicted, 14 counts of first-degree murder, countless acts of violence and assault, he smirks and jeers, almost playing to the crowd. 19 death sentences follow him all the way to prison. Victims and families never really recovered. And Ramirez, he became a grim legend, both feared and weirdly worshipped among a subset of true crime fans. In prison, he kept up the theatrics for decades until his death from complications related to cancer in 2013. The legacy of the Night Stalker isn't just about numbers or statistics, it's about a city changed forever, a turning point for how police investigate serial crimes, and a reminder that darkness lurks just outside the edge of ordinary life. What truly made Richard Ramirez dangerous? More than one expert has tried to figure out what drove him to terrorize so many, but the truth is both simple and scary. Some mysteries just don't have answers. Stick around because there are still layers to peel back on this wild, true crime journey. Hit that subscribe button and don't even think about missing what's next.